You're listening to Cool FM. Cool FM is a TVH Group of Networks radio station. Sondo's greatest hits are here. You are listening to Cool FM. Live from Cool Studios. This is Cool News at 11.
Good morning and welcome to Cool News at 11 a.m. I am Ashley. The San Pican Bayan has convicted for graft and malversation of public funds 50 former officials of now dissolved government-owned and controlled corporations that acted as implementing agencies, as well as 2 members of non-government organizations tapped as project partners in bogus livelihood projects supposedly funded by the pork barrier of a former Misamis Occidental lawmaker who remains in hiding. Found guilty by the Santiagan Bayan's 3rd Division were 5 former officials of the National Agribusiness Corp, namely Vice President for Administration and Finance Arhodora Mendoza, who was sentenced up to 175 years in prison, Human Resource Supervisor Encarnita Unsot, 108 years in prison, General Service Supervisor Victor Cacao with 43 years in prison, Support Services Manager Romulo Relevo with 23 years in prison, and bookkeeper Maria Nines Guaniro with 43 years in prison. Also convicted were 6 former officials of National Livelihood Development Corp, former President Don Dalina Amata, Director Emmanuel Vidal, and Chita Jalandoni, Asset Management Division Chief, Gregoria Buenaventura, Chief Budget Specialist Alvalia Ardones, and Chief Financial Analyst Sofia Cruz. Amata, Savidal, Jalandoni, Buenaventura, and Ardones were sentenced to a jail term of up to 84 years each, while Cruz got up to 34 years imprisonment. From another defunct GOCC Technology Resource Center, where Deputy Director General Dennis Cunanan, who was sentenced to a maximum of 27 years in prison, Group Manager Maria Rosalina Laksamana with up to 43 years in prison, Chief Accountant Mari Flick Jover up to 16 years in prison, and Budget Officer Consuelo Espiritu up to 43 years in prison. Lerida Alvarado, President of the Kabuhayan at Kalusugan Alay sa Masa Foundation Incorporated, and Pilo Ronquillo, a staff of Aron Foundation Philippines Incorporated, were also found guilty and meted prison sentence of up to 110 years and 43 years respectively. Their very prison sentences were for the participation and conspiracy in multiple counts of graft, malversation of public funds through falsification and malversation of public funds, particularly the Priority Development Assistance Fund from 2007 to 2009 of the Misamis Occidental Representative Marina Carrete, the ruling said. They were also ordered to pay the government civil liability damages on top of the FDAF funds they funneled to NGOs at an interest of 6% a year until the full payment is paid. The decision, which was promulgated on June 28, was written by Associate Justice Ronald Moreno with the concurrence of Presiding Justice Amparo Cabotache Tang and Associate Justice Neil Nito Fernandez. The case was based on a complaint filed by the Office of the Ombudsman on July 2016, finding probable cause to indict the respondents for 18 counts of violations of Section 3E of Republic Act No. 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practice Act, 11 counts of malversation through falsification, and 7 counts of malversation for the alleged diversion of PDAF funds to ghost government programs. In finding them guilty of drift, Digambayan said the prosecution was able to prove that a scheme was designed and executed, causing undue injury to the government when the accused made irregular disbursements totaling 51 million pesos in multiple transactions. The Intergrift Court also noted that the transfer of PDAF funds to KKAMFI, AFPI, and Kasangga sa Magandang Bukas Foundation Incorporated, the three NGOs endorsed by Calorete for her supposed livelihood projects, violated the Commission on Audit Rules and on accreditation and project proposal requirements, among others. 10 other co-accused, among them Calorete, for President Alan Javelana and TRC Director General Antonio Ortiz, remained at large, and the charges against them will be reopened once they are found and served with arrest warrants, the court said. The similar charges against former Agriculture Secretary Archer Yap, another respondent in the case, were ordered dismissed, with the Intergrift Court citing the April 50 decision of the Supreme Court that granted his petition for certiorari, which sought to overturn a lower court's ruling. The High Tribunal said the Santigan Bayan committed grave abuse of discretion when it ruled that the information filed against Yap was enough to charge him. Yap, who served during the Arroyo administration, was indicted with 2 counts of grift and 1 count each on malversation of public funds and malversation through falsification. Jen Limnapolis, who has been tagged as the brains of the 10 billion peso pork barrel scam that implicated dozens of lawmakers in the exposed in 2014, was not a respondent in the case. Napoles, however, is already serving time at the Correctional Institute for Women for convictions in at least 7 plunder and other cases related to the PDAF anomaly. The remaining 27 peso COVID-19 health emergency allowance for eligible healthcare workers will be released on Friday, according to the Department of Budget and Management. The DBM made the announcement shortly after Health Secretary Deodoro Herbosa shared his exchange with Budget Secretary Mina Magdandaman, where the latter committed to release the remaining funding for HAAs within the year. We will release the additional 27 billion pesos requested by DOH for the settlement of unpaid HAA claims of our healthcare workers by Friday, July 5, 2024, said Magdandaman in a statement on Thursday. This is a promise fulfilled. Even though the DOH was asking for it in 2025, the DBM tried to fulfill it earlier because our workers in the health sector deserve it, she added. Incoming Education Secretary Senator Sonny Angara on Thursday stressed that he would never use his post to advance his political interests. In the radio interview, Angara assured the public that his only plan is to fulfill his job as the new Secretary of the Department of Education. They have a point, and I understand that they are fearing the possibility that once a political takes over, the department will be used for politics, meaning to advance a personal agenda. I will never do that because as a secretary, I am the alter ego or a representative of the president, said Angara over Radio 630. Angara, whose term as senator ends in 2025, said between now and the end of President Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s administration in 2028, it does not have a personal interest in politics. So we will really focus on the interests of our stakeholders in terms of education, our students, our teachers, parents, and communities. These are what we would focus on, he emphasized. A network of civil society organizations has called on newly appointed Education Secretary Senator Sonia Angara to prioritize the marginalized and out-of-school learners to ensure all Filipinos have fair access to education. In a statement on Wednesday, the Civil Society Network for Education Reforms, or ENET Philippines, said this can be done by strengthening distance learning incentives and building community learning centers or mobile schools. It also noted that the swift issuance of pending implementing rules and regulations and of Republic Act 11650, or Inclusive Education for Learners with Disabilities, will make sure that no learner from the vulnerable sector is left behind. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ordered a study on how the government can establish faster e-visa transactions for Indians. The Presidential Communications Office on Thursday said Marcos made the directive during the sixth meeting with the Private Sector Advisory Council Tourism Sector Group in Manila on Wednesday. The president noted in the meeting that faster e-visa processing for Indians would help boost tourism in the country. We don't have any such issues with India, so I am sure we can use their system, Marcos said as quoted by the PCO in the statement. According to LT Group President Luat Tan, the Indians continue to be required to make a personal appearance before the Philippine Embassy in New Delhi, even under the e-visa system. This means e-visa processing for Indians tourists can take around a month. In view of that, we recommend engaging in third-party service providers that will establish, run, and maintain the e-visa system under the guidance of the relevant government agencies, Tan recommended to Marcos during the meeting. This will ensure that the program is consistently monitored and that any challenges in the process and the system will be immediately addressed, he said. This will likewise streamline the application process and thus generate more applications due to the expedited process, he added. And for the cool weather forecast, generally fair weather will prevail in most parts of the country on Thursday. Although isolated rain showers and thunderstorms are possible, according to the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, known as PAGASA. PAGASA weather specialist Adzar Aurelio in an early morning forecast said the intertropical convergence zone will continue to affect Palawan, where rain showers and thunderstorms are expected. The rest of Luzon will have fair weather, but in the afternoon or evening, thunderstorms are likely, Ariel said. In Visayas and Mindanao, fair weather is forecast with partly cloudy to cloudy skies and possible isolated rain showers due to thunderstorms, he added. No weather disturbance is being monitored in and around the Philippine area of responsibility, Pagasa added. Coming up, as U.S. Vice President Harris does high war act as Biden wobbles. And in tech news, AI generated spam ranks higher on search engines than originals. And Japan achieves another internet speed record. That's coming up next. 19 minutes after 11, and welcome back. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is engaged in the delicate balancing act, playing cheerleader for President Joe Biden, while standing by as a leading contender to replace him if he ends his re-election bid. Biden's dismissive performance in last week's debate with Donald Trump has triggered panic in much of the Democratic Party as people question whether Biden is physically and mentally able to beat Trump and serve another 4 years. Former Congressman Tim Ryan, while professing his admiration for Biden, wrote in a piece for Newsweek that the Democratic nominee in 2024 should be Kamala Harris. Jim Clyburn, a senior House Democrat and black leader, told MSNBC, "We should do everything we can to bolster her, whether it's in the second place or at the top of the ticket." Harris herself has not publicly voiced any desire to replace Biden. "Look, Joe Biden is our nominee," she said in an interview Tuesday with CBS News. "We beat Trump once and we are going to beat him again, period." She said she was proud to be on the current ticket with the president. Shortly after the debate, Harris rushed onto TV to defend Biden, admitting he had started off slowly in a clash with Trump, but saying he ultimately finished strong. The official schedule for Biden on Wednesday that he had launched with Harris, which is not a regular event, though it was a weekly fixture for Biden when he was vice president under Barack Obama. Harris, who age of 59, is the first woman, the first black person, and the first of Asian origin which is her mother was from India, to hold the job that puts her a heartbeat from the presidency, as Americans like to say. Harris will become president if Biden died in office or became incapacitated. But she would not necessarily replace Biden if he were to end his candidacy, and Biden has insisted he has no plans to do so. For 3.5 years, there has always been this drumbeat that someone other than the VP should be the Democratic candidate, said Anne-Marie Hancock, professor of political science at the Ohio State University. Hancock said it was possible an undercurrent of racism and sexism was at work against Harris. For years, Harris has been less popular among Americans than other Democrats seen as possible candidates, such as California Governor Gavin Newsom or his Michigan counterpart Gretchen Whitmer. U.S. media have reported tentatively on mistakes she made early in this administration, mainly on the diplomatic front and on tension among her staffers. But Hancock said things could turn in Harris' favor because she has spent time out visiting battleground states, in particular to promote abortion rights as it came under repeated fire from conservatives, judges, and governors. Flickers of that could be seen on social media, where supportive Harris-related memes have begun going viral under the hashtag #KHive. Harris is sometimes criticized as disappointing as an orator, but she got a warm welcome recently when she made a tour of universities that was focused on schools with high numbers of minority students. She will make more stops in July to speak with African American audience, particularly women, with 3 trips to Louisiana, Texas, and Indiana. A CNN poll released Tuesday that had Harris doing better than Biden against Trump, although not beating him. This poll gave Harris 45% of voter intentions against 47% for Trump, while Biden scored 43% to 49% for the Republican former president in the race between the two men. In the event Biden were to drop out, Harris, thanks to her name recognition, her ties to powerful people in the government, and the prospect for brisk fundraising, would go into the Democratic convention next month in a position of strength. But the Republicans are ready and waiting. Kamala Harris is very much on the GOP's radar. Hancock said, referring to Trump's party. The Trump campaign on Wednesday broadcast a video montage of Biden suffering falls and other embarrassing moments and questioned whether he can serve another term. And concludes with a question. And you know who is waiting behind him, right? And footage of Harris laughing. And now for the tech news. ChatGPT can write articles, so you might be wondering if publicans are not publicans, if publications have replaced writers with AI. However, Google and other tech companies discourage it to prevent AI-generated spam. The internet could become less useful if AI content filtered instead of user-generated ones. Unfortunately, Ward writer Russell Rogers discovered that AI-made copies of this article rank lower on search engines. The AI-generated content appeared on the first page of search result pages. As a result, it took traffic away from Rogers' originals. Rogers was searching for the latest information on Adobe's artificial intelligence policies. He typed Adobe trained AI content into Google and saw his article in the second position. Adobe says it won't train AI using artists' work. Creators weren't convinced. However, he noticed the top search result had a similar title. When Adobe promised not to train AI on artists' content, the creative community reacted with skepticism. Clicking it revealed a website filled with AI-generated content, including his Ward article copied and pasted with only a few changes. The bottom showed a hyperlink that led back to the original story. Then, Rutgers looked deeper and found the bot wasn't only copying English language journalism. He found plagiarized works in 10 other languages like Spanish and Japanese. Moreover, the writer found articles from other outlets like TechCrunch and Reuters. Rutgers cited Google's blog post regarding its response to this problem. Here's what Product Management Director Elizabeth Tucker said on April 26, 2024. As of April 19, we have completed the rollout of these changes. You will now see 45% less low quality, unoriginal content in search results versus the 40% improvement we expected across this work. Nevertheless, AI-generated spam continues to be a problem. This is a really rampant problem on Google right now, and it's hard to answer specifically why it's happening, says Lily Ray, Senior Director of Search Engine Optimization at the marketing agency of CFIF. Google's developer website Google Search Central explains that the company does allow AI-generated content. However, users must not design them to rank high in search results. AI-generated articles should also follow the search engine firm's spam policies. Specifically, they must not qualify under scale content abuse. Scale content abuse is when many pages are generated for the primary purpose of manipulating search rankings and not helping users. This abusive practice is typically focused on creating large amounts of unoriginal content that provides little to no value to users, no matter how it's created. Publications, however, still feel dismay regarding the rapid rise of AI-generated articles. It's so frustrating because what we see, we're trying to do the right thing, and then we see so many examples of this low-quality AI stuff outperforming us, said Ray. Resident Rogers said Google must eliminate spamming sites with AI content. Otherwise, publishers will have less incentive to produce high-quality content. As a result, people will have fewer reasons to trust websites appearing at the top of Google News. Imagine if people filled the internet with AI-made content. Artificial intelligence tools use existing content as samples so that they can generate new ones. Training AI on AI-generated content reduces the quality of its results. Eventually, most AI content will have WS poorly worded gibberish, making it harder to gain quality information. This cascade of events could also affect Google, as people will have fewer reasons to trust its results. More importantly, you will struggle to gain quality and trustworthy news. And finally, Japan has achieved an internet speed record of 402 million, or what should I say? Yeah, 402 million megabytes per second, or I should say 420 terabits per second. That's a good news here, huh? So this is our latest report of it. So Japan's latest achievement is 25% more than last year's internet speed record. So once again, this is a quick tech news. So that Japan has made a history by achieving internet speed of 420 terabits per second as of July 2, 2024. And that is it for Cool News at 11 a.m. As always, you can send a news tip to us at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. We will be back with more headlines with Cool News at noon with TG Send later at 12 noon. Until then, I am Aspir, and this has been Cool News at 11. Good morning.